Hi, my name is Wes Morgan, and I own Morgan Manufacturing, and one of the tools we manufacture is a tool called the Stronghold Haywire Klamper. The tool is packaged like this. It only weighs about 7.8 ounces. It comes with one tool, the instructions, a demonstration wire, which shows you what the wire looks like when it's rolled up for a double strand, and about 20 foot of 16 or 17 gauge depending on the manufacturer. I mean, this tool doesn't care whether you're repairing a 1/4 inch gas line hose or a 12-foot diameter pipe. It doesn't care what size. It's just a matter of the length of wire that you have. Each tool is provided with a spool of wire.
Now I've seen the finished product. I've seen you demo the hammer. I have one of these tools in my truck, one in Kaya's truck, in our bug out bags. I can think the use for something like this to be infinite, nearly. But I'd really like to see you actually make a repair here for us. Would you do that?
Sure. Something everybody can relate to. This is a simple garden hose, 5/8 garden hose, and 1/2 inch copper pipe. If you have them in your yard, you run over them, they break, you go to the store, you buy the plastic inserts, put one in each end, screw it together. You step on it, run over it, it breaks. I started going to the steel ones. You put those in, about $2.99 a piece, and then you run over them, they'd bend and they'd leak. So we started taking and cutting the hose, taking the piece of pipe, and you push it in. Then we would take a pipe cutter, cut the other side off, slide the other hose on, and then you would take and put 2 wraps of the haywire clamper on it, and then you'd have a repair. What you do is you take the corresponding book, you look inside for your diameter, tells you the length of the wire. Take the wire, you bend it in half, and you leave the tail, one of the tails about a 1/4 inch longer, and then leave the loop spread open slightly. You put the loop around it, you run the tails over, run them through, and you just continue to wrap the loop back until it goes all the way back, and you pull out the tails. Take the tails, you spread the tails slightly, you take the tool, you insert the long one first, then you insert the other one. You push it up to it. There's a notch in the end of the tool, the haywire clamper. You put the notch in, and then once you start to turn, the notch will catch inside of it. The wire gets turned around. It starts to tighten up. You turn the tool. It pulls it tight. Once you get to the tension that you want, then you flip the tool over. And all you do is you unscrew. Couple turns, tool comes off. Then you take your trusty Leatherman, you take and cut each tab off, and you mash the wires down, and then you've got something you can't pull out. It's that tight. You do this on both sides, and you've got a repair that doesn't stick up, and it's easy to handle.
So if I'm in the backwoods and I am depending on something to get me out, let's say that I break a critical piece of kit, say an axe, say a hammer, or let's say somebody becomes injured, they need assistance getting out. I could fashion some kind of litter with this. I can fashion, I mean, you know, there are as many uses for this as you could possibly think of things breaking.
Yes, we'll give you a prime example. This is a set of crutches that were done out of simple branches. These are functional crutches. Nothing real fancy. These things have been around in use since the late 80s, and they work. I have people walking on them in all the shows, putting their weight on them. I had one guy who actually stood up and just walked with them with his feet off the ground. He didn't think they were strong enough. He thought the things would slip, and of course they don't.
I got one other test for you. I want to know if you'll take the hammer, and I know that it's a defunct hammer, and that you repaired it. But I want to see you actually cut the bands off that, and then repair the hammer, and then drive in a nail.
All right. Well, you're talking about the hammer.
Yep.
Okay? This is the one everybody picks up at the show. This one gets the most used. And if you notice, it's kind of curved. It's left-handed, you know. It's not by intention, though. Okay. What we'll do is we'll go ahead and cut this thing off, and I'll show you that it is not glued, screwed, or any type of dowels in it. Now what we did on this, even though we didn't need to, we put a single up here and a double up here so people could see the difference side by side. And that was the only reason why we did that. As you can see, these things are pretty stout when they're on there. I mean, it takes a lot to get them off. So this is not just a temporary repair tool. Once you repair it with this, basically you just repair it and forget it.
Now I remember back to my Boy Scout days when we taught us how to do the lashing. Mm-hmm. You have that metal wire coming from both directions, so it's actually a
Correct. Which would be this little item here, mm-hmm. which would be good if you were trying to make a teepee structure or a half shelter structure. We actually have one gentleman that takes it with him when he hunts, and two of them, father and son, and he'll take the ankles of the deer and wrap it around and stick a stick between it, and they put the deer on the shoulder and walk out. So he said he used to put ropes on it and stuff, but the ropes would easily slip through and the deer would always drop.
Yeah.
After this, it doesn't move.
That's a good idea.
We've taken the diameter of this, we've looked in the chart and determined the length of the wire. The first wire, which is a single, which is a little over right at 15 inches, we take and do one about a 1/4 inch. We take our trusty Leatherman or Gerber, and we put a little bend in it, and we call this the loop, and the bottom we call the tails. Okay. Then what we do is we put this on the tool.
Wait, now hold on a second.
Okay.
I gotta see. Is that really a defunct hammer?
This is a defunct hammer, and I'll show you. I'm gonna stick a knife through.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty defunct, and also through the center of it.
I can see the tip there.
It comes all the way through. Yeah. And as you can see the split, you can see how it is split all the way down. This is what we call a one-shot hammer. I use this right here, I get one shot at it. So,
okay.
Now, what we're going to do is we're going to put the single strand up here. You fold the loop over, put the tails through the loop, rotate it back, you pull the tails out. So what you end up having is the two tails sticking through the loop. You separate them slightly. You take your tool and you put the long one in first, this one, and you take the tip of the tool, put it right into the edge, and once you start to rotate it, it will take up the slack, it will curl these around here and lock the wire in. Then you take and just twist it till you get it to the proper tension you want. As you can see, all those are starting to close up, all those holes. Then you just rotate the tool over, take and undo the keyway, comes out. Take your trusty Leatherman, or for the Gerber guys, that's Gerber. And there's the single. Okay. Now we could use this in here at this point, but to be safe, because you've got such a large split here, we're going to do a double. We have looked into our chart, figured the diameter, and we need a wire approximately 22 inches. Cut one off the roll of wire. You get approximately a little over 20 foot of wire with each tool. Okay, fold this, leave about a 1/4 inch difference. A lot of people don't do this, but I like to just put a little bit of crimp in there. It gives it a little straighter edge. And bend it out a little bit. Then we go back and we're going to do a double wrap. So this one starts out, you put the wire through it. I mean, it's a very simple tool. There's basically nothing to mess up, there's nothing to screw up, and there's nothing really to break. Okay, you get your wires here. Pull your tails out. Take your tool. Put the longest end in first, the second end. Rotate the tip up. Once it gets on, you start to turn the wires, and as you can see, as we turn this, I'll try to hold it both and turn it, it's closing up all of those holes and securing it. Once it's tight, you bend it over, undo your keyway, and you take your tool off. I mean, you think of this in dollar value. What is it worth to have a tool that you can repair any size clamp or attach anything together in the field without having to go to the store, without having to worry about what size you have? Let's see if we can create some havoc here. Okay. I think that kind of does it right there.